The problem that I see with the internet is more an issue of its powers of distraction from research and its ability to take focus away from a writing project. Mm-hmm. So, and I see that in students and as well as my own writing. I hate Facebook and I love Facebook. I think it's designed to be addictive. There are those little red lights that flash, or the little red signs that flash when somebody likes something you've posted or comments on it, and commenting on something and getting one or two of those fairly quickly has the effect of making me feel like, oh, I said something interesting or something worth somebody's time or something that somebody wanted to argue with, or whatever the case may be. It gets my attention, and it gets me, it sort of plants a seed in the back of my mind, no matter what else I may go on to do, that once I've posted something on Facebook in a given day, I've got the possibility of a conversation sort of hovering in the background that maybe I should go check on and see if anybody's liked something I've said. Or with that possibility always hovering there, I'm also thinking about other ways to generate conversation or to hold up my end of a conversation that probably I'm the only person really thinking about. So I go through my day sometimes thinking about what I could potentially be saying on Facebook or how I could compose my next status update. So trying to limit my Facebook participation these days, though sometimes I slip. I worked with a political website called bushwhackedusa.com, which is ancient history now, but was during the early years of the Bush administration and right after 9/11, one of not that many voices of dissent. The one example that comes to mind is a satire that I wrote and put together with Photoshop, really bad Photoshop. It was probably the first Photoshop project I ever did. This was the event when George W. Bush, flew over to Iraq for a surprise Thanksgiving visit to serve turkey in a mess hall somewhere in a tent. And apparently for the photo op, he picked up a tray that was just a display, a plastic turkey. And pictures were published of him holding this beautiful plastic turkey, and that struck me as a kind of a meaningful image. So I did a satire where I cut out his image holding the turkey and put it on images of the suffering and destruction going on in Iraq. And when I posted that, what had been previously a website that picked up maybe 200, 300, 400 visitors a day, and there were 150,000 hits, and 150,000 people came to visit the blog, and that, I guess that was the start of my addiction. That was the equivalent of the little red light saying, we like this. I have had a couple of students use Facebook as an explanation for why they decided ultimately to withdraw from class or failed to complete an assignment or something like that. I don't know how legitimate that excuse is, or whether it's an excuse or whether it really is what's happening. And if it is what's happening, that's unfortunate. But I'm perfectly well aware of the power that Facebook has to sort of change your thoughts and sort of hold your attention even when you're away from it. So it is conceivable to me that kind of addiction can get the better of people. I may exaggerate a little bit when I call it an addiction, but I think for some it may actually be. I miss writing letters, and I miss receiving letters in the mail. That doesn't happen very often anymore. So the level and depth of interpersonal communication with friends is much more superficial now. But it's also much more regular and reliable. It's easier to be in touch. So I like being in touch with old friends. I like reconnecting with old friends. But, I miss the feeling of being far away from people, too. I miss knowing that somebody on the other side of the world, if they wanted to be in touch with me, would take the time to write a letter, and that letter would take its time to get to me, and I would receive it and take my time to respond, and there would be a sense of isolation and wandering that's different. I don't know that it's better or worse, but it is more superficial.